statement. We have some few terrorists have entered our country. We are looking for them. You are looking for them from where? My request is, let the police work with the community, hand in the hand, on daily basis. Can we talk to
As
the
we
landlords?
conclude, don't you think you're being very unfair to a police force that doesn't actually even meet the basic police-civilian ratio set by the United Nations? Are we looking at a police that is heavily understaffed, underfunded, and ill-equipped to give it such a Herculean task?
I think my appeal to members of parliament, if they don't mind, and we all citizens, including you, Mr. Kashati, we need to start asking for the increase on the budget for police.
Well,
if that is
members
done,
of parliament are arguing that the police's budget only goes to buy tear gas to stifle political agitation as opposed to carrying out such life-saving interventions as the fight on terror.
I may not comment on tear gas. Let me comment on community policing. You know, if we facilitate the police, increase the ratio. Right now, the ratio of Ugandan police is 1 to 400, and that is very high compared to the UN standards. My appeal to Ugandans, let's give support. Let's collaborate with the police. Let's collaborate with our community leaders. For instance, what is our village council, security council doing? What's the district security council is doing? Our city here in Kampala here, like in the divisions and so forth. What is the division security council doing? What's the Paris security council is doing?
If at all they do exist, or if they are performing anything. Exactly.
If you go there, for instance, the study we are conducting right now on the private security organization, we ask them whether they have had meetings. They say, no, I am the chairman, but I've never had a meeting.
Oh.
If you have a meeting, do you have minutes? No. But Mr. Kashat, let's come back to this point and let's exhaustively discuss this.
As we conclude,
there is need for us in Uganda to bring all the stakeholders on board, like the Kampala Kasita,
Kampala City Traders Association.
Let's bring them on board in as far as managing terrorist attack is concerned. If you are coming from the border, from the airport and so forth, you are going to a given destination. Do we have somebody following you? Do we have somebody tracking you?
Are we going to get someone to track the passengers that have disembarked from the Boeing 707 with hundreds of passengers following them around? We have 200 buses arriving into this country at any one time. How do you follow them?
Peace is worked for. Peace is expensive. You get it? Development is equally important to this country, important to each of us. Can we invest in that area if we are to have sustainable peace? For you to be calling me every day to come to this TV, can we all work together as stakeholders?
Well, you wouldn't have nailed it better. Security, peace are very expensive commodities, and we cannot afford to bat an eyelid. We need to handle this. We need to tighten our belts, but provide enough resources, both financial and human, to avert this situation of terror. Let's take a short break. When we return, it's Simon Says. When you have a neighboring country attacked a record 87 times in just 2 or 3 years, that is a big point of worry. When you have another neighboring country degenerating further into civil strife, and you have your national army spread across the region trying to pacify people, and you've got the national police fighting, running street battles with opposition and all political agitators, and you have a community that for the most part is laid back and doesn't seem to give a hoot of what's happening around them, then I think one can aptly say you're seated on a very tight time bomb ticking away to explosion. That is a story of Uganda. As we find ourselves in a volatile region, we find our security forces engaged in several missions outside and within the country. We find ourselves with a police that for the most part is interested in working out political machinations with the politicians, and a body politic that doesn't seem to appreciate the dangers that terror presents onto its citizenry, and a citizenry that seems to be so laid back living their life like it's the last day and not caring about what tomorrow has to hold, or even finding out and trying to ensure that their children's children have a secured future. That, I can tell you, brethren, is a very dangerous state of affairs. But it all starts with you. How much are you doing to pacify yourself and keep yourself out of harm's way? How much are you doing to be your brother's keeper and keep alert so that thy neighborhood is a nice place, light and ready? Nice neighborhood for you to live in. How much are you doing as an individual to be on the lookout to ensure that no suspicious activity does take place within your eyesight? If you do that as an individual, the collective sum of all this little intervention will not only complement the security apparatus' efforts, but will certainly take us far places when it comes to securing ourselves, our borders, and of course, securing our region. It's a wonderful Tuesday morning, very cold and wet in Kampala, but that is no excuse whatsoever not to wake up early and get productive or arriving up to your appointments on time. Have a productive day and keep watching NTV, for in there is tremendous programming that will make you a better person, obviously. Have a good morning.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fascistic code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
Son, I'm happy you came.
Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman.
I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you?
Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Deception.
Yes, nonsense. And don't try to be so righteous. Of course, I'm aware. I know you are behind this evil thing.
Your company bought Chris's assets?
No.
What do you mean no? This is what these documents are saying.
Nze naawe tusobola bwe tusiimagana badde njala nkwetwalire.
Deception.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa ab'ekika
era bulabe basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagende mu Lukola eyo inakasongula mu Buluri twagende mu Butale babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti muyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteekamu gandula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga nkusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina
nakulabira abaganda baagala kabaka
mikwano gyaffe bana NTV ate naddala mu bannaamu muli gw'ebyemizannyo gukomyewo 2014 ate mutya kati ate gukyusiza n'obudde gwa 7 kitundu gwali gwa 9 ne gugoberera ntusanyuka kati gubongereddeko wano malya g'ebyemisana awo gusooke gubatayize gubaleetere buli kintu kyonna kalonda erina ebyemizannyo omuli gw'ebyemizannyo omupya 2014 isima waali alagira Argentina yenjo mukubira eddiba lye omukwano gujja kukomawo ku muli gw'emizannyo naye kasita kinatuuka eri bano ba Messi okulumba abalenzi baffe ba Thiago Silva awo tewali mukwano omuli gw'ebyemizannyo 2014 President.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulongo.
Yes, it may all be wet and dreary, but we are definitely bright-eyed. And we are not ready to make this rain gazump us.
Do you know the meaning of that word?
I don't understand. What does it mean?
To gazump is to rip off.
To rip off?
Yeah, to rip somebody off, take advantage of them. You know, if I have a deal with you and then all of a sudden you switch sides, you're ripping me off. Or like sometimes we have gazumped you, you know. Sometimes people tend to say, you know, government has gazumped them. It has made certain promises to them and not delivered, so it's related to that.
So what about to flamox?
To flamox? Flamox is to get shocked, real big. You know, when I shock you through your nerve.
You have flamox?
You have flamox.
Okay. Okay. Tomorrow we'll learn another word, courtesy of our dictionary here. Joel Segenyu. Before, the break, Joel, we had Julius Okelo, who is an expert on community policing, and we are looking, Kasiate was asking him about Uganda's readiness in the wake of the terror that is in Kenya. Do you think that we are also ready when terror hits this country? We'll be ready. A couple of things that Julius Okelo talked about. Peace is expensive. We need to invest heavily in guaranteeing security.
Without a doubt.
Whether it's technology, following all these terror suspects.
Without a doubt. These terrorists are becoming high-tech every day, just like the oil crime keeps going uptake and that kind of thing. Terrorists are, they say when the hunter learns to shoot without missing, the birds learn to fly without patching. So it's happening a great deal. We need to invest a great deal.
What do you do when, for example, they are covering you, they are monitoring you, and then you say it's a human right? They are against the human rights. What do you do in the case of this where security is ideally compromised?
You know that there are cases, of course, where police suspect, just like police can come to your house, of course they should have a search warrant. You will not say, no, why do you want to search me? If they suspect there is an issue about you, they should be able to search you. Of course, sometimes they don't have a search warrant, and that is debatable. Just like the 48-hour rule of, somebody has got to be kept after 48 hours, you've got to release them, whether they have evidence or not. Sometimes police is like, you know what, we do not have much capacity to do the investigations within 48 hours. But you talk about, for example, that's why they talk about this whole SIM card registration. Yes. I'm not too sure it has merited fruit. They tap our phones with or without the SIM card registration, without a doubt. Yeah. But yes, we need to invest a great deal. We need to.
You know, I'm always the person who thinks some of our people are not informed at all. And someone in this case, you know, a majority of our people, if you think that SIM card registration is going to be a way to monitor you, if government wanted to monitor you, you don't need to register.
And they were monitoring us anyway before the SIM card registration. Yes, they just wanted to legalize it, so that it's a lot easier on them before anybody sues them. Right. You see, the law here is not as good. It's not like other countries where I realize you have I can sue you and you pay me heavily through your nose. Well,
Kilama Emmanuel saying absolutely yes, Uganda has done a good job. The security structure in Uganda is great. June 10th must have given us a lesson.
You know, I may not agree with much of what General Kaletienzi Kaihura does, and many people might not, but it seems to have slowly but surely gotten this community policing thing. And the other day some people were saying that it should be called a funded community policing. I don't know how he does it, because the relationship between Ugandans and police is not a very good one. It's a shaky one. But he has in some ways done that. And that is why, for example, it's a guerrilla situation in Kenya, for example. Their community policing is not as good. When to fight terrorism, it's not about how good your arsenal is, although you should have good one. It's not how good your equipment and whatever it is. You're talking about technology. All those things should be good, But you see, ultimately, it is about how do you penetrate the people. Right. They know who these crazy guys are. And you see, here in Uganda, we are very alert. Whenever I see something suspicious, even if you don't like police, you run to them and that kind of thing, In Kenya, it's not exactly done that way.
So you must do, as long as there's a lot of mistrust between you and the police, then it's likely to be harder to fight terror.
Without a doubt. And that's why I keep wondering, how is this man doing it?
How is Kaihura doing it?
But of course, a lot of money is being spent. That is why his budget is through the roof. They probably do pay some people for information. Maybe that should be done sometimes, but we seem to be doing it. Of course, we have to do it a lot more, without a doubt.
Well, many Ugandans don't even know their neighbors. Everyone is for himself and God for us all. Very important. I don't even know the LC chairman where I said if the community has given information to police and it withholds, then the citizens are compromised and we always wake up in the wake of terror. We should instead be consistent and more conscious.
Julius Okello in the press review. There's need for consistency.
Right. Julius Okello is an expert on community policing. If you are also an expert, share with us some of these things. We need to protect our people. Later in the show, I'll be hosting an international motivational speaker. On Twitter, he's known as Chafa. I can't wait. But we're going to be looking at overcoming procrastination. Mabel is standing by at the NTV studios with your birthday wishes and Facebook comments.
I also can't wait for that inspirational speaker in everyday life. But for now, your birthdays. And today we say happy birthday to Shemsa Sued, a student, an MBA student. Happy birthday to you. We also say happy birthday to Fiona Nafula, who graduated from UCU in Mukono, as well as David Luaga, Planet Cake presenter here at NTV. We have lots of birthdays, but I don't seem to be getting any cake. Also, Tony Blair celebrates his birthday today, and this is actually a portrait that is going to go public later on this month. It's painted and it's against the backdrop of the Union Jack. And I came across this, that if you feel you're getting old, just say you're 18 plus X years of experience. For example, if you're turning 40, say you're 18 with 22 years of experience. Hopefully that will make you feel young at heart. As they say, age is just a number. Now on to some of your messages this morning. We had Simon on the big story earlier with Julius Okello, the executive director and an expert on community policing, on regional terror, and they were talking about Uganda's readiness. Hilo Heaven says, oh Lord, this guy compares Kenya to the States before he relates it to Uganda as far as safeguarding terror is concerned. I think in Uganda we need to be extra alert. Junior James says, good morning team. It's all about people playing the role and their part of security. Otherwise, IDs can be made by everyone in this corrupt Africa. Relating to fake passports, my question is, why Kenya all this time round? Now to some other messages regarding the press review. Ecole Ferdinand says, I am a bit disappointed in Mr. Mlondo and his friend who think the only way you can help the country is to pay and other taxes. Get that child off the street, be a champion of development. It's the you preserve your environment. Those are just a few ways you can help. In my opinion, we have no right to demand government when all we do is to frustrate its programs. And we have Weka saying, thanks guys, nae abe Busia. Mutwerabira nyo. Well, we shall be coming to Busia one day. And Ivan says, niceness. Alex is saying in Moroto it's so cold and they do not have power from the national grid. They were just connected 2 weeks ago. And he says, please, we are not in Kampala to experience umeme like power supply. We need our UDCL generator back. And I do hope Simon is still listening and he'll get that message. We now hand you over to Brian. Brian, whom do we have on today's Big Everyday Life?
Well, thank you so much, Mabel. I am very privileged this morning to be hanging out with Mr. Hybers Chapa. I don't know if I have pronounced it well, but we'll find out in a couple of minutes. You can follow him right now on Twitter at iChapa, that is ICHAFFA. And we'll be talking overcoming procrastination. I personally suffer from that, so I'm, this time not just going to be asking the questions, but I'll also be learning. But of course, HTC probably powering everyday life. And yesterday I asked you a question, which model of HTC will be launched at the Champions League finals this week? Which model of HTC will be premiered at the UEFA Champions League? Send your name and the correct answer to 6565 and you could walk away with that HTC Desire 300. Again, the question is, which model of HTC will be launched at the UEFA Champions League final? Good luck to all of you. Remember, send it to 6565. Now, we've all suffered, most of the time we will delay a task or choose to do a bigger task or a smaller task. Maybe we are allowing ourselves enough time to rest, or we're thinking of the priorities, what is more important and less important. We'll find out how you can overcome this huge disease called procrastination. But before that, I'll take a look at the profile of our guest on Everyday Life. Good morning.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
We are HTC.
Exactly 20 after 8. Thank you so much for staying with us. You can stream online live, that is youtube.com/NTV Uganda /live, and catch Morning at NTV in your office or at home. But also if you miss other shows, you can also go there and just type in Morning at NTV and check out what you missed. This morning I'm with Hybers Chapa, who is a motivational speaker, lives in the U.S., comes from Benin, his parents are Nigerian. You are international.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So what's this? Your parents are Nigerian, but you're from Benin?
Well, yeah, so
my grandparents of Nigerian, so I trace my origin back in Nigeria. So I'm proud of that. So I was, and I am Beninese. I live in the United States, and I'm married to a beautiful Black American.
Oh,
yeah.
Once you go black, you never go back.
Well, that's not supposed to be for black people.
Okay,
right.
It's supposed to be for
right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Procrastination is a huge word. Some people don't even know how to pronounce it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I actually checked your Facebook today, right before I came in, and I saw that, somebody, 2 or 3 people actually did not pronounce, spell it correctly.
Yeah.
So you're right. Procrastination comes actually from the word procrastinare. It's a Latin word that means to delay, to postpone something to tomorrow or to a later time during the day. And so you are called a procrastinator when you put off a task that you're supposed to do intentionally to a later time. So you do that intentionally. Right. So why do we procrastinate? We procrastinate sometimes because we feel that, I can do this job better if I can have some more time later. Right? I can, I need to take a nap right now. This is not really, I need to rest. I need to rest. This is not really important. Or I can do it later. Right? And so you see that there is a bit of laziness, there is a bit of lack of self-control, and there is a bit of lack of management, time management skills into the causes of procrastination.
You're saying self-control. How does that work? Is it the inability to say, okay, let me not sleep, let me just do it right now?
Right. So let me straight go, for example, into one of the dangers of, one of the negative consequences of procrastination over your finances, right? So you have bills that you have to pay at the end of the month. So what you do is that, I pay the bills later, I pay the bills later, I pay the bills tomorrow, and then every day you actually get busy because you have a very huge workload and schedule. At the end of the month, you have not paid your bills, right? Or, for example, you have debt towards the bank that you have to pay. I'm going to pay later. I'm going to pay later. I'm going to pay later. What it does is that you don't have the control over yourself to do the things that you have to do, and and organize your schedule and organize yourself in a way that you do what you have to do and you do actually now. So that's where self-control comes in the picture.
It's funny because just last week I got a water bill and kept postponing. I'll pay. I'll pay tomorrow. And before you know, the water was disconnected.
Exactly. And that is having consequences not only on yourself, but also on your family, on your loved ones. And another danger of procrastination is that it can actually give you a very bad reputation at work. If you put off work that you are supposed to do, if people are assigned with responsibilities and tasks at work, and you are not just performing, you are viewed as somebody who is unreliable, incompetent, or just lazy. And of course, when it comes time to appraise you, when it comes time to evaluate your performance at work, that is going to affect your result. And, you might find yourself not being able to get, higher on the ladder of the executive ladder of your company. You might not be promoted and things like that. Another danger of procrastination, it's actually, every time that you put off the work, we convince ourselves that the work that we're not doing today, we're not going to do it later. That's not true. Because if you're not doing it today, you're still going to have to do it later at the end of the day. And then what happens is, you actually get work close to the deadline. And what it does is that it increases your stress. And the more you are stressed and the more anxiety, the more you are anxious, the weaker your immune system. And when your immune system is weak, you are susceptible to infectious diseases.
Some people say, I'm driven by, the rush. They can't wait. Under pressure, they tend to deliver more and more. So they tend to, postpone all these things because then they'll get more thrill.
I get that. But Percentage, you don't want to stress yourself over something that you could have done better when you had time. That is just not, an excuse. Pressure does not mean that I have to delay and wait till the last day before I complete my assignment. Right? I am very productive under pressure. But that pressure means that, it's not something that I intentionally create. This is, that we need to make a difference. We need to make a difference between that. So when you were susceptible to infection disease, when you are anxious, for example, we tend to lose focus on the things that we have to do, and we are more susceptible to accidents. Anything can happen. Watch out. When you are stressed, you are angrier. You get angry easier, right? And you can easily get in a fight with somebody, over nothing, over a topic, over like some small word or some small name. I don't know, you know what I mean? You are stressed and you can get into an accident. And if you are driving and you are stressed and you are anxious, you can actually get also into an accident. And it cannot just be your mental health, also it can be physically, right? And the more stress you have, stress is good when you know how to moderate stress. But stress, overstress, when you are over anxious, it can also lead you to a mental institution. And you don't want to go there. You just don't want to go there. Well, it's just joining us. I'm with Tibas. Tibas Chapa, who is the U.S. best motivational speaker. Our heritage is Nigerian, but comes from the hill. Right. We're dealing with international stuff here, guys. Please give us your feedback on Twitter at morning at NTV, and you can also tag us in the conversation at iChapa and at NTV Gold too. Of course, we could tag at NTV Uganda. Our Facebook page is also open, which is morning at NTV. Go there and ask any questions that you have for Chapa. So we'll look at causes. One, time management. Poor time management. Right. Poor time management. Some people use the excuse of lack of skill. So they think, I'm not best equipped to do this, so let me fast forward it off while I find someone or while I get the skill to do it. Well, one of the ways to overcome procrastination is this. You can actually delegate. If you can't do it, hire someone to do it. Or find someone who is better at doing that specific task. Alright? And it's okay. It's okay if this is not your skill. It's okay to hire someone and do it. But you cannot, but if that person will not do it as I wanted to do it. Well, now you have to look at how important that task is for you and how soon you have to deliver it. Right? You're not going to tell me that you cannot find anybody who is good so much that he cannot do the work, right? If you don't have the skill, you don't have the skill. Well, you can learn it. If you can learn it within 2 hours, that's good. But if you can't, just face the reality, be pragmatic, find somebody that you can trust in your network and delegate the task. Right. I'm looking. I wrote all excuses about it. There are also an excuse of perfectionism. Right. Yeah. I want to make it so awesome that I need enough time to make, that's a trap. It's a big trap. Well, I understand. When I do my work, I want it to be perfect. I want people to look at it and say, oh my, and I want to look at my artwork and say, I feel good about it. But the thing is, you cannot be perfectionist to the point where you lose focus on what you have to do, and then you lose focus on when you have to do it, and then you lose control over your ability to do it when you have to do it. Right? So I love my work to be perfect, but also I have to look at time. I have to be pragmatic about what can be done and what has to be done. So one of the ways to overcome procrastination, it is also to do the task, the small task, in a way that you can actually perform them rapidly. You can have like a 1 minute rule or 30-second rule. If the task will not take you so long, just do it and do it quick. This is a big task. You feel like this is so big, so I need time. And then the thing is, you have to fall into the trap. You're like, oh my God, this is so big, I can't do it now. Let me do it over the weekend. And then the weekend comes, and then you're like, you want to rest on the weekend. Exactly. And then Monday comes, you know, and then you're late. What you do is really simple. Organize a task into multiple small tasks. Explain. Right, okay. Let's say, for example, they have to write a 2-page document. It needs a lot of inspiration. I have 1 week to submit the paper. Yeah. So what I do, I put my ideas together. I have a plan for the document and for the contents. And each part of the contents, I'm going to assign a specific time for it. And then I say, okay, Monday I'm going to do this. Tuesday I'm going to do this. Thursday I'm going to do this. By the time I get to Saturday, I have done all of the work. Instead of waiting on Friday, and then be all the stress, and you want to do everything. And you want to do everything, and your mind cannot wrap. And your mind cannot wrap that. It cannot work because this is not just the time. Yeah. And especially for people who work in creative industry, it's really not good. You know, you have to feel free. You have to let yourself around. You have to create an environment where your mind really works. And I know, I don't know if I'm using this as an excuse to for me to procrastinate. Right. My wife is in the creative industry, right? Where you need a good environment. So for example, say if I'm on the treadmill, that's a good opportunity to think, ideas, put on my headphones, run, maybe I'm carrying weights, and then if that time never comes, I'm not allowed. There's literally no time for me to think. Even when you sit down on the computer to edit, you feel like something missing, and you can't seem to get it worked out. How much does the environment impact the way we do things when we're waiting for the perfect moment? Well, there will never be the perfect moment, and there will never be the perfect environment. You have to be able to adjust. You just told me that you have ideas, for example, when you're working out. Well, there's technology today that can help you record whatever you're thinking, right? You can record it on an audio, and you can type a letter, hire someone to type it for you, right? I am a very creative person, and I need ideas all the time for my work. And they don't come usually at the time where I need them. Yes. You can actually find yourself in a restaurant and then you have all these ideas coming at the same time, and I'm like, oh my God, no, this is not the place right now, just hold it. But by the time you get back to the office, all the ideas are gone, you can't even remember. Yes. So you got to prepare yourself, and adjust at any time. You can come anytime, any day. So you have to learn who you are. You have to learn how your mind operates, and then it operates your mind. Yesterday, we started this conversation on Twitter. Just who works for the company kind of started helping on how you can overcome procrastination. And he told us that he writes the tasks. How does that help? You may write and then still don't achieve. So that's it. I actually wanted to comment on that yesterday, but I felt like, yeah, it's true. I have on many occasions put up a plan, put up a deadline, and at the end of the day, it's not done. This is where self-control comes in the picture. You have to be able to abide by the things that you have said that you are going to do. And also, I don't believe that plans work for everyone. It's good to have a plan, but you have to be able to work around that. Make yourself, if you can't make yourself do the work right now, find a way that is really compatible with yourself, compatible with your with your mind, with your mental capacity. Do it when you want, or do it when your mind is okay with it. But if you are static, to do this now by 10 p.m., it might not work. So you want to be flexible. You want to be very creative and innovative about it.
Bobby said on Twitter, I told you that procrastination reveals a lack of goals or purpose.
A lack of growth?
Goals, yes.
Well,
purpose, there
is definitely an interrelation between having a goal and being a procrastinator. One of the golden rules that I was actually going to give out is set clear and small goals. Because when you have goals, you have focus. When you have focus, you have plan. And when you have plan, you can work it out, because you can't have purpose without passion. You can't have purpose without that desire. Because that desire is there no matter what's going on. You are focused and you're going to get things done. So yes, you need one of the first and one of the golden rules that I was actually going to give is to set clear, small goals.
All right. The other one, quickly. Set clear and smart goals.
Well, you have to be balanced. You have to be balanced in everything. And when you're setting goals, you cannot set goals on one area of your life. You will feel like, there is an imbalance, and that can create a lot of, loopholes in your mind, or even in your personality, right? So try to find the balance that you need to be able to operate through, like your whole life. Let it be something that is complete, instead of, focus on one specific area. And then the third, reward yourself. When you have achieved a task in a time that you actually assign to yourself, reward yourself. I don't know, either candy, ice cream, those things work. I mean, it works for me. So I don't know what will work for you, but yeah, the principle is to reward yourself.
Right. One point I said that I left it chips for this whole month. And I did it, and at the end of the day, I just had a huge bottle. That's exactly right. That's really proud of your back, right? Done it, right. Blocks of time you'll dedicate to your family, your friends, entertainment, social activities, and personal activities. And I'm telling you, the rewards are awesome, because instead of being looked at as a person who does not deliver at work, you'd rather, I guess, sort it out right now, and people will be able to trust you more. And stay with us. Coming up, Sport with Mabel and Isma. Make sure you don't go away, or grab a cup of warm coffee. We'll be right back.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am a Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fiscal code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the two individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda. Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again. On the next episode of Destiny River.
Try it. It's delicious.
Are focused on the lies that low-life man told them both. And they're abandoning me, betraying me.
I didn't raise my kids to take orders from anyone.
You're so desperate.
Terry, I beg you for God's sake, keep this between us.
Destiny River. At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
We are proverb from Benin, Nigeria.
Well, before the break, we were looking at procrastination and our international guests.
Procrastinate.
It's always cool to, you know, have someone who is
not from Hawaii, say where you're getting Charlie Wajara.
Yeah. Mr. Chivas Chapa was here, lives in Los Angeles. parentage is Nigerian, but is from Benin. Married an African American, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Procrastinate. I learned that from Latin.
Are you a procrastinator?
I can't even pronounce the word.
Sports bettors are huge procrastinators.
Sure. How do you relate even the two?
They fail to do their tasks and stay inside the company.
But betting is a bit of a cult.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cult. I can almost promise you that. For some people bet, it's... I can't compare it to anything.
Have you suffered this? Have you suffered?
I procrastinate and I hate it. I like doing things at the last minute when there's lots of pressure. I always try, like when I'm going away for a trip, I pack at the last minute. I just can't do it before.
You pack in the morning.
Exactly. I don't know why.
I've learned now. I used to. The way women is behaving these days. So I've ironed all my clothes for the week, and they are there. So I'm starting to deal with that. But I think it all comes to arranging priorities. We always look at tasks and we think, this is not important. This is more important. Well, you can follow at iChef on Twitter and at mbgold at Nedgeb at Dakaba Chigong, and let's continue the conversation. This morning, sport, ISMA, record champions, Falcons won their first game. Is this a sign of better things to come or not?
You can barely judge them because the team they played that is sharing is a team that has just come from the lower division. But there were things in that game that you could probably think is where Falcons want to go. Cyrus Chiviri scoring 20 points, the player they signed from ECU Cannons as they obliterated sharing. But for a team that is a record champion in Uganda, they've won 6 titles, and the last of those by they came back in 2007. They've been to the finals in the last 2 years. Everyone thought they would barely be competitive, especially after they lost Philip Amenya and Abdullahi Ramadan to power. They seem like a team that is going to follow. And that has been the habit of Falcons in the past 2-3 seasons, that after the end of the season, they look like they are a train going off the rail. But now, you get the feeling that they're probably figuring it out slowly. I thought the signing of Cyrus Chiviri was brilliant because he's a young player with a lot of energy. One, I think, if I was voting for regular season MVP, he would be a contender, even before the census, because I know he brings 110% every other week. But they have so many young players who have come in to help out with Stephen Omonya and Saji Kabang, all the other older guys. So it will take a bit of time to get all these players together and get them competitive. And they don't look like they're in the same bracket with Power and City, who have been the teams that have dominated most of the debate because they signed the better players. They look like the teams who are going to be fighting for the championship.
Right.
Yeah. What's this about the Uganda Cranes being locked out of Nambole?
It's an old tale. Like Andrew Mangusha described it in the Daily Monitor. He called it ping pong. Ping pong, the way they play table tennis. Whenever the Cranes do have a game, in the past few years, there's always this thing about Cranes will be locked out. Normally, it comes up about 3, 4, 5 days to the game, and normally it comes from FUFA. Probably for me, I've always looked at it as total blackmail of Nambole management, because they always come out and say, you know, Nambole are going to lock us out because we haven't paid dues. Now, it's not that the dues are cited in the week leading up to the game. Now, luckily for this once, this debate comes out a bit early because Nambole wrote and notified FUFA that they still owe them 111 million shillings from games dating back to Guinea-Bissau, I think about 2 campaigns ago for the Nations Cup. And FUFA have not paid that money. Now, last year, they sat in a ministerial conversation through Minister of Education, FUFA, Nambole, and other people who use the facility. It was agreed that FUFA will always pay 15% of the dues they get from the gate when they organize a match. Now they are going to host Madagascar later this month. Now, the problem is that FUFA is saying, we don't want to pay 15%, we want to pay 40 million shillings.
Period.
Period.
Regardless of
how much we collect, everything. Now Nambole are saying, no, we even owe us money. You can't set the rules when you owe us 111 million shillings. So it's that ping pong that goes...
But isn't that even risky? Why do you set it up to 40 million shillings?
I think it's 40 million is little in comparison to 15%.
Do we get more than 40 million every game we host at Nambole?
I think for most of the national team games we do, and especially if the stadium fills up for 40,000, which I can almost bet on national television it won't fill up against Madagascar, is that they won't get normally they collect about 1.2, 1.4 billion shillings on games when the stadium fills up. It's full. Yeah, it's full. Now, if Nambole are playing smart with business, because they do run a stadium where people have to pay money to use it, and different facility users pay different amounts of money depending on what they are doing. For example, I know people hold crusades there. The Benny Hines, the Joseph Serwadas pay a lot more. Actually, I saw the Nambole manager last night saying that they pay up to 69 million shillings to use it. And I actually thought that they pay 80 million because I've seen a quotation. I've been close to a church where I saw a quotation of 80 million shillings to use Nambole. So even the 15% is a bit on the low side. But I think FUFA are going to use the brand of the Uganda Cranes to continuously blackmail Nambole as a facility that is unpatriotic and looking at the Cranes, and for me that's the only way I see it.
Well, my personal view would be that Uganda Cranes should be given first priority regardless.
Yes.
FUFA, you should probably be thinking of building your own stadium. Think about that. Liverpool, totally disappointing. They're out of the conversation.
Brendan Rodgers thinks so. The tears of Luis Suarez tell the story at the end of the game. Liverpool leading by 3 goals in after 78 minutes. And at that point, it felt like, how many would Liverpool score? They looked like they could score 5, they could score 6, they could score 7. Then in 11 minutes of total madness and the collapse of the proportions of Newcastle back in 1995-96, when they threw out the league title and handed it to Manchester United, Liverpool just decide that they are not winning the league. And probably this game for me was a mirror of two things that Liverpool have been. They've tried to win the league by outscoring everyone, and they've scored 99. But they've also tried to lose the league by conceding this number of goals, because I think they have the 9th best defense in the league. 9th best defense. I don't remember the team that has won the league with a defense that bad. And so I think the disappointment at the end of the game told from Luis Suarez, the scorer, to Daniel Sturridge, the tears for the Liverpool fans who start inside Selhurst Park at Crystal Palace.
But Crystal Palace also disappointed Chelsea the other time.
The other week, when John Terry did score that own goal. But a disappointment for Liverpool. It's been a roller coaster, but I think football is built on so many facets. Because if you give Liverpool a chance to finish in the top 4, and they haven't been in the Champions League for 5 seasons, they will take it back in August. Now, with the way they played and got themselves into a title challenge, if now they're disappointed because they have thrown it away, I think they have. Everyone is thinking, and I know Charles Sendagir, our director here, is a Liverpool fan, and he thinks that Aston Villa will beat Manchester City tomorrow just to get Liverpool back into it. But they've thrown this away. Apparently, and the disappointment told. You don't lose games when you're leading by 3 goals to 0. Right. Probably Milan can't forgive themselves for that final back in 2005. When they're leading by 3 goals to 0 and 3 away to Liverpool winning the Champions League back then. A test of their own medicine, I bet. Apparently, David Moyes has sent a tweet that he would never lose 3 down because he would never be 3 down. Someone sent it earlier, and I thought that was interesting. His lost games is lost by Moyes. That was Moyes, apparently. Oh. Well, in Spain, it also seems no one really wants to win. So what does Atletico have to do, Barcelona, Real, to win the title? All 3 just refused to win. I don't know why, because Barcelona were leading by 2 goals to 1 against Getafe, considered an injury time equalizer. Now, thereafter, Atletico outplayed at Levante. They lost by 2 goals to 0. Wow. Now, Real Madrid had the luxury of watching the other 2 play before they play. And then they were trailing by 2 goals to 1 until that Ronaldo back heel to get them back at it. The thing is, at this point, you've got to look at the maximum number of points every team can collect. Madrid have a game more, have a game less because they have 3 to play. They have 83 points. If they win their remaining 3 games, they get to 92. Now, Barcelona and Atletico can only garner a maximum number of points of 91, but they have to play each other at the Camp Nou, that is Barcelona's home ground, next week at about 10 days' time. And that means both of them cannot get to 91, only one can. So somehow, it looks like it's Madrid's title to lose or win, but the way Madrid played against Valencia after the events of Bayern Munich, you get the feeling that one of Real Madrid or Celta Vigo could be a hard fixer for them, and probably the game against Espanyol. One of them, they look like they'll drop points in one. But it's the most annoying thing for me, and I know every neutral, and there are not many neutrals in sport, wants Atletico to win the league title. Wherever they got that performance to refuse to win at Levante, I keep saying they refuse to win. Because Levante is a mid-table side, they're not fighting for anything, they're not fighting relegation, they're barely going to give it anything. And then Atletico just go there and don't play at all. They were tired. They had a long week. They had a long week, especially I think that game against Chelsea must have taken a lot out of them. And that's the reason probably they lost the game. But it's looking like a league title. And I went for Madrid to win the league back in August. And if they won that, they would win a shock because I think they'll win the Champions League final on May 21st. On May 24th, rather, I think they'll win the Champions League final. So I think it's Madrid's hand. That equalizer by Ronaldo could mean everything if Madrid go and win the league.
Well, we'll be following those events. Congratulations to Juventus, who are champions again in Italy. You'll be catching more highlights of that later at 1:30 p.m. With Isma, Lumansi, and Alan. And of course, Sports Bar yesterday, very comprehensive cover on Uganda Cranes being blackmailed by Nambole every Monday.
The other way around.
Yeah.
I prefer to say FUFA blackmailing Nambole, not the other way around.
FUFA Muzimek's away, Chabmwe, and we are tired of this.
You are constructing one in Luwero, so probably you could pick
a club, you know, using the national stadium, yet the national team is going to play on the weekend. It's absolute nonsense if you ask me. But yeah, maybe it is Magogo should think about that. We should host Magogo one of these days and ask him about the marketing director. Funa sente Mozambique sawe bana. Tutaniko kugenda kwa African Cup. Tunafanga ebintu bigala. But before we wrap up, your African proverb. Jackie Mbabazi brings in a proverb from Cameroon. Thought breaks the heart.
Why are you both looking at me?
Well, I was thinking
that I have a broken heart.
It's about a heart, and what better person to ask than a lady?
Yeah, I'd say men break the heart, but
not thought.
Not thought.
Even women
probably men break the heart should be Ugandan, not Cameroon.
Are there any comments on that? So maybe we can pick people's brains.
All right, let me just refresh this. But does that make sense for you?
Not really.
Okay, not think about relationships, but say work.
Thought breaks the heart.
When you think about something for too long, that's when you start judging the merits and demerits, and that's when you start
doubting yourself.
And if it's something bad especially, that's when you feel heartbroken if you think about it. That's why I think when people lose their loved ones, everyone is told somehow everyone is trying to take away the bad thought, because the more you think about it, the more heartbroken you are.
But can't you think good thoughts that build you up instead, that encourage your heart?
Right. I guess that helps.
I think it can be too, well, I don't know.
Yeah. So when I'm feeling down, listen to some good music. Yeah. Not things like probably listen to some Jamal who is soulful, and you know.
What if you're listening to a Bintu Vizivu at 2 a.m. in your bed?
All right, we wanna wish you a fantastic day. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Morning at NTV, our official handles. You can also go and tag at NTV Uganda. You can also follow us on Twitter at MEPKEB, at Dakabachigongo, at MB Goal 2. Shout out to the crew here, Peter, Engineer Andrew, who braved the rain this morning. Walai, guy, go, take him Kajavas. By maybe next month. just Tito, who is still sleeping, and of course Ru, who is always here to make sure things are fine. Down at the NTV studios, we want to thank you so much for loving the show. Morning at NTV continues with the Soul Moment. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
NTV, turning on your world.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
You know, Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
Oda, I no go stop to the singing.
No problem. Keep singing. This singing will put you in trouble very soon. You won't believe it's the boy's father that inflicted such injury on him. Just because he stole 50 naira. 50 naira for that matter. That man should be arrested. Oh, how God. How I wish I could just see that man and give him a piece of money. Abigail, I don't care if you're chatting with Barack Obama. When you're at work, you learn how to detach yourself from that phone else to get you into trouble. Whatever. I mean, you should be happy that a pilot is asking your friend out.
My brother, I learned that 3 armed robbers tried to rob a man as he came out of the bank at the junction before the express.
Don't try to be the hero.
You won't kill me.
Do you know how long I've been waking you up quietly and you refuse to wake?
Now you can't interrupt someone.
I'd like to pray with you, nurses, being the vessels that the Almighty God has been using to heal his people.
Okay. Can someone please talk to me? What is going on?
Who is she?
See, I hate cheating in my life. I hate cheating, and nothing will make me have 50 kobo to that money I already get you.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
It's Chakan, the old chief of police.
Alias the Lizard, to be more precise. I want to turn myself into you, but on my terms.
Irene tried to kill herself. What?
My way. I'm in a hurry to get my son fed.
Listen, Francisca, I have to explain something. I wasn't hiding a woman at the station, it was a man.
Oh, please.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.